Raya and the Last Dragon and Bombay Rose, two of the greatest animated films to come out this year, which A, that isn't saying much, and B, that's probably not gonna last long, at least until Violet Evergarden is available. I am so excited. But for now, let's take a moment to praise and, as always, critique these films. And what better way to start this video off than to review the movie you're all probably here for. Hey, stick to the end, guys, please. Raya and the Last Dragon is Disney's most recent film and their first purely original animated film since... wow. And for their first one since Moana, it's greatly impressive. Do I think it's the best fantasy work of all time? Heck no, but this is probably the most narratively ambitious Disney's ever gotten. Raya and the Last Dragon has a lot of lore detail that I could go on and on about. But to keep things simple, the land of Kumandra is divided into 5 nations that have been at war with each other for years and years to come. Our main character, Raya, sets out on a journey to find the last dragon, Sishu, in order to restore peace. And on her hero's quest, she meets an entourage of very likable and charming companions, as well as an intimidating but very sympathetic rival. If you've seen the film, you know there's a lot more to that, and by a lot more, I mean like a lot more. But that's all that's given away in the advertising, so that's as far as I can go. This entire film is what you would get if you meshed Moana, No Game No Life, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Avatar The Last Airbender, and How to Train Your Dragon, all complete with an immensely likable cast and a joyful cinematic look. No joke, I think this is some of Disney's best cinematography. The look of these landscapes, the placement of our characters in the cozy scenes, the clever lighting, and not to mention the boss action scenes. Who knew that we'd get to see the sword of the creator used in an Avatar-esque landscape? I mean, seriously, those sequences are so well choreographed. Also, we get our first song in Tagalog that instantly became my favorite Disney song. Yes! And for those wondering, no, it's not a musical, but that's not a bad thing. If anything, I think it helps the film. As for the characters, each and every one of them are a joy to watch. Mostly. As I said, Raya is possibly the most narratively ambitious out of all the Walt Disney animated films. I mean, we visit so many areas and meet so many characters, but with a runtime 3 minutes short of 2 hours, does that give us enough time? I'd argue that it does, but there are moments that I feel deserved more time, particularly the moments where our characters just talk to each other about their grievances and past trauma. That might be just me wanting more individual significance with each character, but that's the other thing about this film. Aside from 3 characters in particular, nobody really shines that bright on their own, but they are most definitely at their best when they are a collective mass unit. And that is the entire point of this film. One theme that is present all throughout Raya is trust and unity. With one exception, each and every main character, as predictable as this is, comes from a different part of Kumandra, which at first does seem nifty, but that plays a crucial role in this film's themes about trust and unity. That no matter where we come from and how different our cultures are, we're all human, thus we are all equal. And then there's the ideologies of Raya, Sishu, and Namari. Raya, consumed by her past trauma, is reluctant to trust the rest of the world, particularly because of the history that runs in Kumandra's civil war. Ergo, she tends to resolve conflict with violence, which puts her in indirect conflict with Sishu's ideologies of peace and prosperity, which yes, it does render her pathetic as a goddess, and sometimes just not funny. Like, at all. But over the course of the film, we slowly come to understand Sisu's trust in others and genuine drive to uniting the people, and we see how our characters become inspired by that drive. In the case of Namari, for as traditional of a Disney villain as she seems to be on paper, she's developed to be incredibly similar to Raya and is also trying to unite Kumandra. She is honestly one of the most immensely likable villains I've ever seen out of Disney. And the ending to Raya makes this film. Given its concept, stakes, and subject matter, the ending needed to be handled in just the right way. And I think it was handled expertly. Now for the burning question, Should people buy it for $30 early? Well, it's got some flaws that are holding it back from being legitimately worth it, like how there's just so much modern slang in comparison to some others, and the pacing is a little iffy, but not as hyperactive as Croods 2. Plus, it's both cheaper and a way better watching experience in theaters. But for those of you whose theaters aren't open, I'd keep this movie on my watch list until it's available for free. Raya is never going to make it on my favorite animated films of all time because these exist, but if it's given the Tangled treatment and gets a series adaptation, I will watch it to heck. I give it an 8.8 out of 10. There we go. And speaking of streaming services, Bombay Rose premiered on Netflix very recently, and it's pretty good. The look of this film is a joy. Beautiful frame-by-frame animation dripping with life and emotional resonance, a collective of visuals that bring out a sense of longing and love in the most genuine way possible. The way the camera occasionally follows this one particular rose, the mundane yet very personal shots through the window at the dance club, and the stunning, bold color choice in depicting life in its Indian setting. However, this might be one of those cases where the gimmick outshines the actual tale told by the movie, because as a story, not a lot actually happens, which is a little bit weird for me to say since a handful of my all-time favorite animated films have little to nothing happening in them at all, essentially exploring slice-of-life aspects with a smorgasbord of clever visual storytelling. But the one reason why those films worked was because their characters and sentimental moments were incredibly strong. The greatest strengths with Liz and the Bluebird and Evergarden Eternity were that the characters were compelling and ridiculously strong narrative-wise. Here, they aren't. In fact, I can hardly remember any of their names or even their defining traits. In fact, the main couple of the film, yes, this is a romance, you barely see them interacting with each other. They never actually say anything to each other unless it's circumstantial. That might be a plus since that aspect thrives in its visual storytelling, but they could have at least had one scene with actual dialogue between them. This film is probably going to be memorable more so for its look rather than its overall thesis on nothing. There's not necessarily a point to this film, even if it's more so pleasant to just look at. I cannot gush enough about the details of this familial setting. Also, to anyone who actually watched the film, did any of you find the ending utterly hilarious? It's like you blink and you miss it, and the next thing you know, our intimidating, abusive antagonist becomes a pathetic crybaby. I just found that really funny. This is more or less a movie you'll watch for the look, but its story is cozy and melodramatic enough to get a reaction out of you. 7.8 out of 10. And I've done recommendations for quite a while, but I do want to take the time to quickly remind people of the upcoming animated works this year. Pixar's Luca, which from the trailer is essentially Italian wolfwalkers but with sea monsters. Cartoon Saloon's film coming to Netflix called My Father's Dragon, directed by Nora Toomey, who worked alongside Tom Moore for Kells and Breadwinner. John Zia, the extension of Neja, which is out already, though I still haven't seen it. Wish Dragon, which will come out on Netflix sometime. And while we're at it, the abundance of anime films coming out this year. Josie, Tiger, and Fish, an adaptation of a short story about a guy changing a crippled girl's reclusive life. Sounds a bit generic, but oh! It's from Studio Bones? The same studio that made Hiroaka? Okay. Princess Principal Crown Handler, the premiere of a film series around the original 2017 Princess Principal anime series. Demon Slayer Mugen Train, I could honestly care less. I'm not even 4 episodes in, I just don't have the drive to binge it. Her Blue Sky, which has technically been circulating the internet for a while, but it's available nowhere, so I guess we'll just wait and see. And the new Violet Evergarden movie. I have high expectations for this. That's all. And of course, the upcoming shows this year. From the 2nd season of Owl House, Book 4 of Infinity Train, to Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, 2nd season of Zombieland Saga, the 2nd season of Villainess, Kid Cosmic on Netflix, the final season of Fruits Basket, I've never watched Fruits Basket. Season 5 of Hiroaka, Killing Slimes for 300 Years looks cozy as peck. I am so gonna watch it. And That's it! That's my review for Raya and the Last Dragon and Bombay Rose, as well as a look forward to the upcoming works this year. What are your thoughts on Raya and Bombay Rose? What else are you looking forward to this year? Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.